Part 1. Control what you can. Release what you can't. 6 tam biekti binjia, dong ggivn, bin stoic, non ggi no. The Now, Unshaken, Mind in a Changing World, Stoic Wisdom by Stoic Penglai. Let me start by asking you this. How much of what stresses you out is actually within your control? Think about the last time you felt anxious or frustrated. Maybe someone criticized you unfairly. Maybe traffic made you late. Maybe the economy took a hit, and your job suddenly felt unstable. We spend so much of our energy trying to control things that, quite frankly, are beyond our grasp. And this is where the Stoics offer us a profound insight, a key that can unlock peace in the middle of chaos. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher who was once a slave, put it simply: some things are up to us, and some things are not. It sounds obvious, but when was the last time you actually paused to separate what is within your control from what isn't? Let's imagine two people stuck in the same rainstorm. The first person gets angry, curses the sky, blames the weather for ruining their day. The second person, they pull out an umbrella, adjust their plans, and move on. Same rain, same situation, but two very different experiences, you see. The first person tried to control the uncontrollable, the weather. The second person controlled what they could, their response. This is the Stoic dichotomy of control. Your thoughts, that's yours. Your actions, that's yours. Your choices, that's yours. The opinions of others, not yours. The past, not yours. The weather, definitely not yours. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Because when we fight what we cannot control, we create unnecessary suffering." Let's put this into real-life examples. You can't control the global economy, but you can control how you manage your finances, your spending, your saving. You can't control whether someone likes you or not, but you can control your integrity, your character, the way you treat others. And this is where real power lies, not in bending the world to your will, but in mastering your mind. Imagine if every time you faced frustration, you asked yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, act, change, improve. If the answer is no, let it go. Release the need to fix what is not yours to fix. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, reminded himself of this daily. As an emperor of Rome, he held immense power, yet he wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So here's your first Stoic lesson. Focus on what you can control. Release what you can't. It's simple. It's liberating. And with practice, it can change the way you experience life. In the next part, we'll explore the one thing that life guarantees us all: change. But what if, instead of resisting it, we could learn to flow with it? Stay with me. Fun 2 Part 2. Embrace change as the only constant. Let me ask you this. When was the last time your life changed in a way you didn't expect or didn't want? Maybe you lost your job. Maybe someone you loved walked away. Or maybe overnight, the world changed like it did during a global pandemic. We often greet change with resistance. We fight it, mourn the life we had before, or anxiously try to restore what's been lost. Because let's be honest, change feels like a threat to our sense of security. But the Stoics taught us something vital. Change is not the enemy. Change is nature itself. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself in his meditations, said, "Observe constantly that all things are changing. The universe is change, and life is opinion." What did he mean by that? That everything around us, every person, every relationship, every success or failure, is part of a never-ending process of transformation. Look at nature. The seasons shift from spring to summer, then to autumn and winter. The trees don't resist when their leaves fall. They surrender to the cycle, knowing spring will come again. So why do we, as humans, resist the seasons of our own life? Think about it. How many times have you faced a difficult change, only to look back later and realize that change was necessary for your growth? Maybe losing that job pushed you to discover a new passion. Maybe a painful breakup taught you self-respect and independence. Maybe moving to a new city, as scary as it was, opened doors you never imagined. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." In other words, what feels like an ending is often the start of something new. Let me share a modern example. Steve Jobs, after being fired from Apple, the very company he founded, called it the best thing that could have happened to him. In his own words, "It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life." He could have resisted, grown bitter, but instead, he embraced the shift. He adapted. He came back stronger. This is what the Stoics call amor fati, the love of fate. Not just accepting fate, but loving it. Loving what life brings, even the parts you didn't ask for. Because, as Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Imagine if you approached every obstacle not as a wall, but as a doorway. So next time life changes, when the job ends, when the friendship fades, when your plans fall apart, ask yourself, what is life trying to teach me here? What can I create from this change? Here's the Stoic lesson. You can't stop the tide, but you can learn to sail with it. Change is the only constant in nature, in people, in life itself. Resisting it only multiplies your pain, but embracing it, that transforms you. So, ask yourself right now, what changes am I facing? Am I fighting them, or learning to move with them? In the next part, we'll uncover a powerful Stoic practice that prepares the mind for adversity long before it arrives. A mental armor that ensures you're never caught off guard. Let's explore it together. Fun 3, Part 3, Negative Visualization. The Stoic practice of mental resilience. Let me ask you something. What is your greatest fear? Losing your job, losing someone you love, failing in front of others. Most of us try to push these thoughts away. We tell ourselves, don't think about it, don't jinx it. But the Stoics, they did the opposite. They practiced what's called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds dark, even morbid, but in truth, it's a powerful mental exercise designed to make you stronger, calmer, and less fragile. Seneca explained it this way. He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. The Stoics believe that by visualizing possible losses, setbacks, or tragedies before they happen, we prepare the mind. We don't just hope that life will always go our way, because it won't. Instead, we build mental armor. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you're preparing for an important business presentation. You might think, what if the projector fails? What if I forget my lines? What if the audience is bored? By rehearsing these scenarios in your mind, you can plan solutions in advance. Maybe you'll bring printed materials. Maybe you'll memorize key points. Maybe you'll prepare to speak without slides if needed. But more importantly, you'll be less shaken if things actually go wrong, because you've already lived it in your mind. Epictetus, who started life as a slave and became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, what upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things. If you've already judged that losses are part of life, that hardship is inevitable, then when it comes, it no longer breaks you. Think of athletes before a big match. Professional athletes visualize not just winning, but also missing shots, falling, getting injured, and how they will respond. This is mental conditioning. One of the most famous examples is Viktor Frankl, the Austrian neurologist who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps. He wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. He had imagined, before the worst happened, how he would preserve his inner freedom, his mind, even when everything else was taken away. So what about us? How often do we mentally prepare for adversity? Or are we living as if the good times will last forever? Negative visualization is not about pessimism. It's about preparedness. It's about standing on solid ground when the earthquake comes, rather than being swept away. Here's a simple exercise you can try. Every morning, ask yourself, what can I lose today? What might not go as planned? How will I respond if it happens? This doesn't mean living in dread. It means that if you do lose your job, or face criticism, or encounter failure, your mind won't scream, why me? Instead, it will calmly say, I was expecting you. Here is the Stoic lesson of this part. Prepare for the worst, not to suffer twice, but to suffer less when it comes. Take a moment now. What is the one thing you fear losing the most? Picture it, accept its possibility, and ask yourself, what part of me will still remain, even if that happens? In the next part, we'll go even deeper. What is the ultimate source of inner strength for the Stoic? It's what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel, mental fortress that no one, not even fate, can conquer. Let's explore that next. PHGN for Part 4, the inner citadel, building the fortress within. Let me ask you, when life feels heavy, when people disappoint you, when plans fall apart, when the world seems to spin out of control, where do you go to feel safe. Most people look outward. They seek comfort in friends, in wealth, in distractions, in achievements. But what happens when these things are no longer available? When your usual supports crumble? Have you ever felt that? The feeling that no matter what you reach for, nothing outside of you feels stable enough to hold on to. The Stoics believed that there is only one true refuge, the mind. More specifically, the inner citadel, a mental fortress that no storm can penetrate. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and a practicing Stoic, wrote, "Men seek retreats for themselves, in the country, by the sea, in the mountains. But the most secure, the most peaceful retreat is within your own mind." Imagine that. A man who ruled an empire, who faced wars, plagues, betrayals, reminding himself that his truest peace wasn't in a palace, but within his thoughts. What is the inner citadel? It's the part of you that remains untouched, no matter what happens around you. It's the resilient core that doesn't depend on wealth, status, or even physical health. It is your reason, your character, your chosen perspective. A space where, even if the world outside collapses, you remain intact. Let's make this clearer with an example. Think of a lighthouse standing firm during a violent storm. The waves crash, the winds roar, yet the lighthouse, anchored deep into the bedrock, does not move. The inner citadel is that bedrock, unshakable. But how do we build such a fortress within ourselves? 1. Through daily self-reflections. Stoics were committed to constant self-examination. Marcus Aurelius would write in his private journal, "What am I doing with my life? Am I acting according to virtue? Am I letting emotions cloud my judgment?" Every day, ask yourself, did I act with integrity? Did I react emotionally when I could have stayed calm? Am I being the person I aspire to be? By reviewing your actions, you reinforce your core. Like strengthening the walls of your inner fortress brick by brick. 2. By cultivating emotional mastery. Epictetus taught that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. A Stoic doesn't deny emotions. They feel sadness, anger, frustration, but they don't let those emotions dictate their actions. For example, if someone insults you, the immediate reaction might be anger, but the inner citadel prompts a pause. Is their insult a reflection of me or of them? Why should I let this wound my peace? Emotional mastery is about recognizing feelings without being enslaved by them. 3. By defining virtue as the only true good. The Stoics believed that the only real wealth, the only unstealable treasure, is virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. If everything else was stripped away, money, reputation, even physical strength, what remains is your character, and no one can take that from you. Think of Nelson Mandela. Imprisoned for 27 years, his freedom was taken, but his dignity, his resolve, his mind, those remained untouched. Upon release, he didn't emerge with bitterness, but with grace, wisdom, and strength. This is the essence of the inner citadel, a place within you where your character resides, where your mind remains free even when your body is not. 4. Through solitude and inner dialogue. Marcus Aurelius advised, withdraw into yourself, especially when you're disturbed. Quickly return to yourself. Haven offers more peace. Taking time each day for solitude, whether through journaling, meditation, or simple quiet reflection, strengthens your connection to your inner citadel. It is in silence that we confront ourselves, strip away distractions, and reinforce our values. 5. By practicing voluntary discomfort. The Stoics also recommended occasional voluntary hardship, fasting, physical challenges, or stepping out of comfort zones to remind ourselves that we can endure more than we think. Seneca practiced this, saying, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress," saying to yourself all the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" When you deliberately expose yourself to discomfort, you realize your mind is stronger than your circumstances. Here's the core Stoic lesson of this part. Your mind is your true home. Fortify it. Because everything else can be taken, except your inner strength. So I ask you now, how often do you visit your inner citadel? Is it strong and steady, or have you let it crumble under the pressures of daily life? Remember, no one else can build this fortress for you. It is a personal journey. But once built, it offers a peace that no one can steal. In the next and final part of our journey, we will confront the most humbling and empowering Stoic reminder of all memento mori. Remember that you will die. But rather than a morbid thought, it is the key to living fully and wisely. Let's walk that path together. Part 5. Memento Mori. The Stoic Art of Remembering Death. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you thought about your own death? Most people avoid this thought like a shadow they don't want to face. We busy ourselves with life, chasing careers, relationships, success, all while pretending we have endless tomorrows. But the truth is, we don't. And the Stoics knew this well. That's why they practiced a principle called memento mori, meaning, remember, you must die. Now that might sound morbid, even frightening. But for the Stoics, this was not a thought meant to depress, but to awaken. It was not about fearing death, but about using the awareness of death as a compass to live more wisely, more fully, and more urgently. Why is memento mori so powerful? Because when you remember that life is finite, that each moment could be your last, everything trivial starts to fall away. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Imagine living every day with that kind of clarity. Would you still waste time arguing about petty things? Would you still delay your dreams for some better time that may never come? Would you still harbor grudges, live half-heartedly, or ignore the beauty of simple moments? Memento mori is a radical reminder that time is slipping away, and we don't know how much is left. The Stoics, and the practice of Seneca, the Roman Stoic, said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." He urged us to live as if each day were a complete life in itself, to finish each day with nothing left unsaid, nothing left unloved, nothing left undone. And Epictetus reminded his students, "I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it." This is the real gift of memento mori, not to dwell on death, but to strip away the fear of it, and in doing so, strip away the fear of living boldly. What happens when you live with memento mori? You carry the awareness of death in your pocket. Life becomes sharper. You no longer procrastinate on what truly matters. You forgive faster. You speak the truth more often. You cherish the people around you. You pursue what sets your soul on fire, not what society tells you is important. Death, in this light, is not a grim reaper waiting to take everything from you. It is the ultimate teacher, whispering in your ear, "Don't waste time. Make it count." Examples beyond Stoicism. This idea wasn't unique to the Stoics. In samurai culture, warriors meditated daily on the fact that they could die at any moment, which is what made them fierce, honorable, and present. In medieval Europe, artists included skulls in paintings, vanitous art as a reminder that beauty, wealth, and youth are fleeting. Even Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement speech, said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life." Because remembering death puts everything into perspective. A simple practice. How can you start living with memento mori today? Every morning, remind yourself, "I may not see tomorrow. How will I live today?" Every evening, ask yourself, "If this was my last day, did I live it well?" Throughout the day, when anger or pettiness rises, ask, "If this were my final hour, is this how I want to spend it?" This practice isn't about obsessing over death. It's about becoming fully alive. The final Stoic lesson. Here is the ultimate lesson from the Stoics. Remember death, not to fear it, but to let it teach you how to live. Because death is coming for all of us. But the tragedy is not dying. The tragedy is never having truly lived. So live now. Speak your truth. Love fully. Pursue your purpose with everything you've got. Because in the end, as Marcus Aurelius said, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Thank you for walking this Stoic journey with me. If these reflections touched you, don't just listen, embody them. Build your unshaken mind. Embrace change. Fortify your inner citadel. Prepare for adversity. And above all, live each day with the wisdom of memento mori. Concluding message for the video. And there you have it. The Stoic path to cultivating an unshaken mind in a changing world. We've walked together through the pillars of Stoic resilience, accepting what is within your control and releasing what is not, embracing change as life's constant rhythm, visualizing adversity to prepare the mind before hardship strikes, building your inner citadel, that fortress of strength no one can breach, and finally, carrying memento mori close to your heart, so that every day is lived with intention, urgency, and gratitude. If this video sparked reflection within you, I encourage you, don't just let these ideas remain as thoughts. Practice them, live them. Because philosophy, especially Stoicism, is not about mere understanding. It's about transformation. If you enjoyed this journey, I invite you to subscribe to Stoic Penglai, where we explore ancient wisdom to navigate modern life with clarity, strength, and peace. And if you have thoughts, reflections, or even personal stories on how you've faced life's uncertainties, share them in the comments below. I would love to hear how you are building your own unshaken mind. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay steady, and as the Stoics would remind us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Until next time, this is Stoic Penglai. See you in the next reflection.